Assalamu alaikum, you guys. Welcome to our first podcast episode for Should I Revert? And today we're going to be having a conversation with Brother Deen. And the title is a crazy one. It's Make Muslims Great Again. So we're gonna jump right into it. Remember, no hate, no negativity, just curiosity, love, and good vibes in the comments. Yeah, this is just personal opinion and a chill conversation. Alrighty, let's get into it.
With Wali's mission to create a non judgmental Muslim community that is supportive of each other as we're on our journey to, learn more about Allah and Islam and use our intellect like a lot of Muslims are failing to do currently because they just go through the mundane motions of life and make like instead of taking Islam as a lifestyle and a daily thing that they grow and they bend with, they take it to just be another thing on their to-do list that they have to do on a daily basis.
Of course.
How then do you think Muslims will be able to change that mindset, or how can Wali be
When
able
I
to
say,
impact that or influence that to be able to change on a wider scale? And how can it become the movement that's needed to um, refresh the mindset of the Muslim community today in a positive way, instead of because when we're talking about MAGA verse, what is it, woke, the
Mhm.
it's automatically going to have a negative what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out here. A negative people are
Connotation,
just sorry, go ahead.
connotation,
Yes,
negative
it's going to
label.
have a negative connotation about it. People automatically right now, whether how they feel about politics, and the moment they think Trump, they think negativity, even though they had a chance to change the whole two-party system by voting Jill Stein, they decided not to. But yet they're gonna find something negative to say about this. So that being said, how can Wally make that change without there being a negative um,
Well,
consequences
he
to
might need to
that?
start his own masjid. Might need to start his own masjid that follows the Mutazilites doctrine
I do love the Mutazilites. I think I want to.
because when I say the MAGA and the woke and the
Hmm.
Western mind frame
Hmm.
and context, Islam also had its own it had its own MAGA and woke movement
Hmm.
in the sense of the Mutazilites versus the teachings of Al Ghazali with the Asharites.
And the Mutazilites lost. By the way, where can I go to learn more about the Mutazilites? Because I feel like there's not a lot of information about them, like
Of
readily
course,
accessible.
you can't learn too much about them because they went extinct. Because just like
Mm-hmm.
how the you know the two forces that are always at play, but one got too much control over the other. So you have to look online, my girl, because there's no masjid out here that specifically endorses the Mutazilite creed. Because
Yeah.
it went extinct for 1,000 years. Like I can't help you here.
Dang, I really have to do some deeper research into them, and I definitely want to bring that to the Wally's YouTube page and
Because
just
they were all
social media
about
platform.
free willing, free thinking,
Hmm.
and innovate. I don't even like saying the word innovation in the Muslim community because they would automatically consider that beda, and that's
Hmm.
thinking that we have gotten ourselves into. Ingenuity.
Hmm.
They were all about.
It's for people who think,
Yeah,
basically.
they
That's what
want.
it's about.
They wanted to find God in this reality,
Hmm.
just like how in later centuries the European with the Renaissance, even though it was a small group of people, they decided to find God in this reality, and that's how they were able to go into Spain and find the libraries of the Muslims that the Muslims have abandoned.
But you know what a lot of Muslims will say about just even that sentence alone? They will be telling you that you shouldn't be so focused on this dunya, right?
Yes, they will say that, and I that's the go-to method. However, they need to understand that Allah created this reality as well.
Mhm.
Is the explanation of this reality.
Mhm.
Take yourself out of this reality, then you're not acknowledging Him, and
Mm.
you're getting an incomplete picture.
Mm. I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of things you're saying right now, a lot of people will agree to, but they won't publicly voice that they agree
Of
to
course, it
that
won't. Of course,
because
because of
I don't know.
the
Respectfully, they're wussies.
yeah,
That's the best way to sum it up. That's they just don't have um, the balls. I don't know, the guts to voice that they agree with you. I don't know. We'll see different when I post this video if they'll like or comment or
you
what.
know, 1,000 years ago, Muslim societies were open to engagement, constructive engagement,
Hmm.
and they were open to ingenuity and creativity.
Mm.
But nowadays, that's not the case because there's a close communication between we Muslims today. We do not communicate with each
Mm.
other in a constructive way that can help reunite the
Mhm.
arm of the community, the ummah.
Mhm. Mhm.
We don't, and we went through our own woke movement, and we did not even understand what was happening.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm not saying that Al Ghazali was wrong in what he endorsed. Again, there's always a good in everything, but that side did not acknowledge the cause and effect of this reality.
Mm.
So we immediately took ourselves from this physical realm to the abstract realm, and the European passed us.
Mm. Very interesting
Where did we?
perspective.
Where did where did it go wrong? We try to
Mm.
question. And the woke movement, like the left here in the U.S., like in the Western framework, is doing the same thing too.
Mm.
That's why they consider Trump a threat, no matter what he does.
Interesting. Interesting perspective. I hear you, and yeah, that's a very interesting
And
perspective. Thanks for sharing that.
one thing about the woke, it contracts society. So there's a less of everything to make.
Hmm.
When you make something big into something small, you will lose wealth and dynamism. But in a way, you can kind of share it between the other groups of society because it's so small at that point to give the illusion of equality.
This is unrelated, but thing is, this is like kind of off topic, but I think it's really interesting because I spoke to Jishan, had a friend on the phone, and I basically said something along the lines of like, beating managerialism, and they were like, did they go to college? Because if that's the stuff that they're learning in college, I don't want to go. So it just shows like, um, the mindsets of people nowadays, not even just like the Muslim community, but just in general. I feel like we've all fall into this like robotic. Um, I feel like slave like mindset might be too extreme to say, but
It is. It is slave like money.
like I don't know, it's just crazy. I don't know when or how we got here, and it's kind of scary because like with these like chips in the head that they're doing now, and then the VR headsets, like I just see this becoming a real life Wally, like the movie where people are like on those chairs kind of situation, or sword art online kind of situation where people are stuck in that virtual reality and not focusing on the real life that we're living.
Yep, I agree. Sometimes there was this story where like the congregation was praying for asking Allah for rain,
Hmm.
and the imam said like just to get long story short, he said, but I have never seen any of them come in here with an umbrella
Mm,
because they have not they are
the
unprepared.
hearts. Hmm.
Yes, like if you really want
Belief.
or if you really believe and want rain, then you
Hmm.
come in this masjid prepared in case it just rains.
Wow. So you're living like the thing that you want from Allah already is.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I definitely say that I'm not there yet. I'm not in that like deep into Islam to be able to say that I'm living currently the way that Allah wants me, like the things that I want for myself, like,
Mhm.
so I hope that I get there one day soon for sure, but I just know that I'm definitely not there yet because that's a very hard thing to accomplish, especially in today's world, it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
But another thing I was thinking about too was the fact that I got into such a big disagreement with someone saying that we should have respect over the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, place that he visited or that he was around on a regular basis and not make it into a toilet. Like, I want to talk about that on my page, but I feel like that's going to get like a lot of like bad press, me talking about that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I just think like, I don't know, like how can as a revert coming in, it's just like so baffling that people like in the Muslim community that were born into the Muslim community or whatever the case might be don't understand the importance of what is sacrosanct, right? I think that's the word I'm looking for. Like, they don't understand the importance, like, we're not telling you to worship this place, but this is a historical place that has a lot of, things that happen. Like, I think the biggest thing that was said was the fact that Gabriel visited that place, that the Quran was possibly revealed in that place, that the night journey, not the night journey, I don't know, but basically historical Quranic events happened there, but yet now people are literally pooping in that
Yeah,
same place.
goes from the mindset Muslims have adopted centuries ago. So you're dealing with things that have been in place for centuries now. And the way, and what is that? Too excessive abstractness causes people to not think anymore.
Mm,
And it leads to kufr, disbelief, and it leads to disrespect in our heritage, our history. And it leads to a majority of Muslims not even understanding that the the sanitation workers of the British government that took control of Al-Aqsa, Palestine, were Egyptians, Muslims.
mm,
It leads to that kind of thinking because, again, when I say Muslims had their own MAGA versus woke movement, the woke movement took over completely,
mhm,
and it causes a sense of, in the Muslim mind frame, in the Muslim context, a separation of this world
mm,
in the way that nothing of this world really matters.
mm.
Very dangerous way of thinking. Again,
Okay.
I feel like I'm repeating myself, but Allah created this reality,
Mhm.
and He said that He made us the best of nations.
Amen.
But do we act like the best of nations? No, we don't.
Mm, mm, mm,
We
mm,
really
mm,
don't. We really don't.
mm.
And
We just act like a fit in,
yeah,
like
fitting.
this is the norm and we should just follow it, but according to what is considered sunnah.
Exactly.
And if it's not sunnah, then it's haram. Right?
Exactly.
Like that, yo, when people say that to me, like, I just get so heated, especially like as a revert. I'm just like, yo, like, what do you mean if it's not sunnah, it's haram? So are you saying that the Prophet, peace be upon him, and all of these great prophets, you know, that ever lived are haram? Because let's be for real, sunnah didn't come about until after the fact. You know what I mean? So where's that coming from? Where's that toxicity, like that mindset coming from? And it goes back to the same thing, like you said again, I'm guessing.
Yep. It goes back to the Muslims have adopted a mind frame that is so excessively abstract.
And what's your definition of abstract? Because I feel like we've been saying this a lot, and the
Abstract
people that are
means
going to listen to this, they're probably not, there's so many different interpretations. So lay out what you mean by that.
abstract means attaining something that
Hmm.
cannot be achieved.
Attaining
Excessive,
something that cannot be achieved.
yeah, attaining a goal that
Hmm.
cannot be achieved.
How does that make sense, though? This doesn't make sense.
And let me get more into detail. So, abstractness,
Hmm.
excessive abstractness is forget what I just said because that's not the most
Okay.
accurate description. Excessive abstractness is removing yourself from this reality.
Oh, say okay. So the cognitive dissonance.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
You know, just like how the European went into the Dark Ages because they went to excess abstractness that they took themselves from this world to the next.
Mm,
And that led to the fall of their civilization
mm,
uh, until the Renaissance period again and the whole Enlightenment period.
mhm,
Because again, um, I think one of the Muslim scholars, I think it was Ibn Sina,
mhm,
he one of his students asked him, "Why did the European civilization erode while the Islamic civilization flourished?"
mhm,
Is He said, "The Greeks and the Romans let the sciences and the art flourish. When they adopted Christianity too much, they eroded its traces
mm,
and its science was defeated by faith."
mm.
And there's a lot to unpack with that quote, meaning that excessive prioritization of the rituals over the rituals and over
I
you know
mean, it's just saying balance, right? Like nothing in excess is ever good.
exactly
Hmm.
balance. And in Muslim communities, we don't really have any sort of balance, honestly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's very hard to come by, and
Yeah.
when you do come by it, then it's frowned upon when you do come by it. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
from my observation, at least.
So this excessive abstractness is dangerous.
Hmm.
And the Greeks, again, when the Muslims found themselves to be the rulers of all of this land that they got from the Persians and
Hmm.
the Romans, they ran into Greek libraries, and the Greeks were already, they had their philosophy already set up.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I truly believe that Islam or Muslims today, they lost their Hellenic element. You know,
Hellenic.
Hellenic, the Greek, uh, they have lost their Greek philosophy way of thinking, and
Mhm.
one of the major lessons
I don't know. The
that
way you say that makes it seem as though Islamic um would have like been coming from Greek or something. So like that wording can be confusing to some people.
when I say they have lost their Greek element is due to one,
Greece was a Greek. Oops. You understand though. Go ahead. Sorry.
they have lost their Hellenic element because what do I mean by that? In order to the history of humanity, it's not just Islam.
Duh.
It's from the story of the Greeks and the Hellenic civilization that was started from Alexander to Cleopatra. It was from the human history also includes the Romans from Augustus all the way to the last emperor.
But
The story of,
technically, isn't the stuff like in the holy books though?
I know it's not in the holy books, but again, the story of humanity is not just about the holy books.
But I feel like some of the stuff though is in
Yes.
the holy books.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. The story of humanity is also about the Hindu Indian civilization, not just about Islam. And Islam, again, the early scientists of Islam and the Muslims of that day, they did not care where they got their knowledge from, as long as it was under the Islamic framework.
It wasn't contradicted with the Quran.
Exactly. Exactly.
So basically, what you're saying
Mutazilite.
is that at the end of the day, we should be the only thing that we should believe is everything is Allah. But when it comes to civilizations, it's shared basically, or I don't know if I'm making
Exactly.
sense.
Exactly. It's like Islamic civilization has lost its Hellenic element to
Hmm.
it, which always espouses this. Again, the Mutazilites
Oh,
were
so the only thing that should stay consistent is Allah. But when it comes to the progression and the changing of the times and how to adapt civilization wise, then that is not going to be consistent or a constant. It's a variable because it changes with life.
yep, correct,
But Allah is always consistent
correct,
because He is life.
correct.
Okay, okay, okay.
Because again, if like I told you, if Muslims had basically uh, come out of Arabia and met all of these Greek libraries,
Mhm.
which say nowadays, oh, there's no Quran and no Hadith in these libraries. Close them down and let them collect dust. But the Muslims of that time said, these are Greek libraries that came way before us,
Mm,
thousands of centuries ago. I mean, yeah, 600 to 1,000 years ago.
mhm.
Let's translate these books. And that's how the Mutazilites were
Mm. Mashallah. For people who think, right? That's what Islam is about.
exactly.
It's for
You
people
know,
who think.
Alexander was the founder of the Greek, from Greece to Egypt, from Egypt to Iraq, all the way to Pakistan to near India. And he founded libraries.
Yeah. Just want to plug in for people who think is a book that I have been reading. So if you're interested in learning more about that and deepening your Islam, then please feel free to check out that podcast in on our YouTube channel. Um, yeah, but continue, Tess. Mr. Dean, Brother Dean.
Anyways, so like that's what I'm essentially trying to say.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
Muslims of today would have such a averse pride
Mm.
towards getting knowledge from other civilizations.
Mm-hmm.
Muslims of eons ago, sorry, not eons, but ages ago, would not even, they would not have the sense of pride. Oh, this is from a different civilization.
Mm.
They would gladly absorb it and adjust it in the Islamic framework.
Mm.
And
Beautifully said.
that will give Islam and Muslim societies a sense of dynamism and sense of ingenuity that is lacking
Mm,
in each.
mm. That part, emphasis on that part. Yeah. You know, I wonder who this video or audio, however people listen to this, is going to get to people. I really hope that this is actually recording and working right now because I feel like a lot of people need to hear this. And I hope that people can be respectful in the comment and that this challenges people to start using the intellect that God, Allah has gifted us with, that our Rob was so merciful to give us out of all his creation. We're the only ones to have the ability to use our intellect. And that's something that we've been learning a lot in, for people who think, and also in Islam and the Destiny of Man in our book readings that we do on a weekly basis. And like, I just feel like, with Umarix, with Wali, and with that secret that's about to come up, that's between just me and you until it's, out. I'm excited to see what Allah will do with us to create that type of mindset in the Muslim community and start a movement where Muslim people are no longer going on being like ritualistic, but they are using the intellect that God gifted them with, and they understand that Islam means to be Muslim means to use your intellect that God has gifted you with,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Is there any closing marks that you wanted
Oh,
to say about
yeah,
everything?
I will tell you. This is my closing remark. Now, this is a lesson for. Actually, I recommend anyone that is listening to this to watch the movie Agora. It came out in 2009.
How do you spell that?
Agora.
Okay.
Agora. It talks about the Greek philosopher Hypatia.
Mm. I feel like I've
And
watched this before.
yeah, of course, yes, yes, you have. You
Oh,
just
okay.
got Hypatia. And She was a Greek philosopher in Alexandria.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes, and at that time, she just happened to be in the wrong time and era, because at that time, the Roman Empire was going through a lot of changes. It was making a transition from pagan Rome to pagan Christianity.
Mm,
But she was a Hellenic philosopher that advocated for the sciences and studying of astronomy and all that.
and the first
But
woman.
well, she was one of the famously known scholars of that time. She was the brightest scholars of that era
As a woman,
as a woman.
which was very rare back then.
But she just happened to be at the wrong time and place because at that time Alexandria was turning from pagan to Christianity, and again, anything that's not in moderation, and which those Christian mobs weren't really, they didn't adhere to the teachings of moderation and reasonable rationality, that they ended up killing her because she did not adhere to what she did not adhere to the
Mm-hmm.
value they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You get me? So those mobs at the time in third century Alexandria, they burned all of the libraries
Mm-hmm.
because they did not have in their minds the values of moderation.
Mm. And do you think that's the path that Muslims are on right now?
And I want to finish. I'll get to that. And her death, historical wise, not just my opinion. Historians have marked that as the end of antiquity.
Mm.
Her death,
Uh,
because and after that was the start of the early Middle Ages.
mm,
So Muslims are we're well into the path already. Trust me, because we destroyed our civilization with the white man hand in hand.
mm,
You get me? So have been on that path for the past 600 to 700 years. Um,
but would you say to the people that would strongly disagree with to you with that statement?
with that statement, I mean, from okay, if you disagree with that statement, then prove me wrong. Look at Africa, Muslim Africa, from Egypt all the way down
Mm,
to Gambia or Senegal. It's like equivalent from Maine all the way to LA. Not one of them can create a vehicle of their own.
mm, mm, mm,
And from Egypt, which is like equivalent to Maine in the United States, to all the way to Senegal, which is the equivalent to
Well,
LA.
there are some Africans like that no to it just doesn't get anywhere.
Exactly. I'm not talking about the individual level. I'm talking about as a whole.
Okay, 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 okay. Thanks for
Not
saying.
one of them can create a vehicle, and we all know that most of those people living in those lands are trying to get into the Mediterranean to what? To get to Europe.
Yeah, they can't even see it as a place to stop to progress in life, unfortunately, when it should be, because that is our brothers, right? Our brothers in Islam.
Exactly. So, and I believe that Muslims, again, bottom line, what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that we did not practice moderation,
Mm,
and we have totally moved away from this reality.
okay.
And we wonder why God is testifying against us every day, because He will testify against you every day, because He will throw it back into your face.
Mm, dang. Deep stuff, Brother Dean. Deep stuff.
Exactly. There's a lot than what meets the eye.
Mm, that's life. It's always is.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's your final remark.
Yeah, and I just want to say when Alexandria, again, I like using that city as example because that was founded by Alexander the Great, and for the past after his death, for the next 600-700 years, or
Fanboy.
that was the city of innovation and ingenuity in the world. But after they killed Hypatia, the philosopher and
Mm,
scholar, it ceased to be anything of that because the mob took over and they destroyed everything.
mm.
Because again, science was defeated by faith.
Yep, and that's where we're going on the Muslim community.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Well, Brother Dean, thank you for being here on this little, conversation about making Islam great again. Oh my goodness, that's so crazy. That title is wild. And for everyone that listened in, or just please feel free to leave a like, leave something in the comments if you got something to say. Keep it civil, please. But free
even
will and speech or whatever. So say what you want. So yes, and subscribe. Let's build
yeah,
a non-judgmental and forward-thinking um, intellectual community that
yes.
focuses on Islam.
I would not even say Maggie, but Maggie, because make Islam, because I Islam.
Oh my goodness. Oh, did you just say Magable Maggie?
No, make so make Islam great again. So it's Maggie,
Oh
M
my goodness.
I.
Not Maggie. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Just
These people are
just
gonna
to put.
hate you, Mr. Dean. All
Anyways,
right.
it was
Okay, y'all heard it
a
first from him
popular
here
lecture.
at Wally, or should I revert? Mr. Dean said it. He said, Magi. The seasoning that we all love is the name of this movement.
Or Fuggy, Fuggy.
Oh, what did you say? What's the other one?
In Islam, there's this thing called the Fuggy. It's one of the uh, it's one of the. It's basically like Islamic jurisprudence.
The what does the F mean if it's not Magi anymore?
No, I'm just trying to give you some sort of correlation, like the
I get what
Maggie.
you're saying,
Yeah,
but
it's
like,
like Fuggy, the Fuggy. The fig. Uh,
mm,
so yeah,
mm,
MIGA. Make Islam great again. And I know there'll be some Muslims that say, "Oh, Islam is already great," but how can it be
it's
great? And
not. So then, if that's the case, it's make Muslims follow Islam again, or make Muslims great
great,
again, because Islam is always great.
yeah, or MMGA, make Muslims great again.
I think that's better. I think that's better. How do you pronounce that if you were spelling it? MMGA. Maga?
Yeah, I guess.
Maga?
MAGA,
Maga?
MAGA, yeah.
Yeah, it's just an emphasis on the M.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, I guess you got back to where we started,
You know,
awkwardly enough.
and if you and to the people that say, "Oh, Islam is already great," okay, I want you to take this lesson with you. Ask that question to a person in Palestine, or ask that to a person in.
Mm,
No, please don't say that to me. And
mm.
I'm gonna cut the mic from there. Bye bye.
Bye. Salam.